Last section, we installed the React Native Router Flux library and had a little discussion about scenes, and then decided to get right to work. Again, this is really a library where getting your hands-on practice with it is much more rewarding than a long lecture. So let's just dive right in. Inside of my src directory, I'm going to make a new file called router. So I'll make a new file inside there, router.js. The purpose of this file is to have one single location where I can tweak all the different components that a user can navigate to inside of our application. So in this file, we are going to define all the different routes that a user can visit. We will be creating a component inside of here, so let's add some boilerplate for making a component. At the top, we will import React from React. Underneath that, we will define a new component called router component. That will be a functional component. For right now, I'll leave an empty return statement. We'll come back to that in just 1 second. And then at the bottom, we'll place our export default router component, like so. Now we're going to add some more import statements at the top here. We're going to import two things from the React Native Router Flux library, and we're also going to import our login form as well. So we'll import scene and router from React Native Router Flux, and we'll also import login form from components login form, like so. All right, now here's the way that we use this router. This is going to be the top level component inside of our application. So inside of our return statement, we are going to place our router. And then inside of here, we are going to place a couple of different scene components. So each of these scenes right here are going to represent some distinct route that a user can navigate to inside of our application. Now there is one requirement of React Native Router Flux, and that is that it must have one singular parent scene. So immediately inside of the router, I'm going to place a scene. This scene right here we'll refer to as our root scene or our parent scene. All the different routes that we are going to create are going to be children of this parent scene right here. Every single scene that we create has to have a key assigned to it. And remember in the last section, we spoke very briefly about keys. So for this parent or root scene that we just created, I'm going to pass it a prop of key, and that's going to be a string root, like so. So that is identifying this particular scene. Then inside of here, we are going to create one more scene. This next scene that we are going to create will be responsible for showing our login form component. So inside the scene component, we'll place scene. We are going to give this one a key of login. Whenever this scene is shown on the screen, we are going to attempt to show the component login form. And then we're also going to give this thing a title of please login. And then finally, I'm going to close off the scene tag at the very far right-hand side, like so. All right, now the last thing we have to do is to use this router inside of our application. We're going to wire this thing up and make sure that our router component is actually showed inside of our app, and then we'll do a little bit of testing inside of our simulator. So right now, let's go back on over to our app.js file. Inside of app.js, we will import the router that we just created. So I will import router from router. Then down inside of our render method, I'll find the login form that we were showing previously. So no longer do we always want to be showing the login form. Now, instead, we want to be showing the router and allowing the router to decide what set of components to show us. So I'm going to replace the login form here with router. Router, like so. All right, let's flip on over to our simulator and just see what happens. Let's do a little bit of testing, see how things go. So I'll refresh the simulator. It's going to take it a moment to load up just because we are importing the React Native Router Flux library for the first time. So if you pull up in your packager, you might actually see the progress. It looks like it's all done here. And so now on the screen, we can see very simply at the top, we have some text that says, please log in. And then underneath that, we've got our actual login form. Cool, so as you can see, this is at least a good start. Let's take a break right now, and we're going to continue in the next section.